My name is Bill Dopp. I'm a Chief Financial Officer for a company called Technical Rubber Company. Probably never heard of it, but if you have ever had a hole in your tire that needed to be repaired, that's what our company does. We make patches for tires, and one of the world's leaders. Our products go into 94 countries around the globe and have operations around the world. Here tonight to talk to you about adventures in international business. For me, that started 33 years ago in San Diego at San Diego State, walking across the campus, and just by chance picked up a piece of paper that was a flyer for a London semester program, and attended the event and ended up going on the program. I often look back on that decision 33 years ago to do that and to participate in that program as one of the crossroads of my life. Also attended a program in Paris as part of USD, where I got my master's degree in 2000. It was a joint MBA JD program in Paris. Got to spend my summer living with 4 attorneys, which was a lot of fun. In a different way, was helped propel my career, gave me a lot of great foundations in international business. So I've had 2 study abroad programs. I've had 4 expat assignments, done business in 20 countries, I've visited over 40 countries. Can't see it here on the charts, but very well. But I've lived in West Africa, in a country called Mali. I'll talk about that a little bit later. Melbourne, Australia. Spent a couple of years. Lived in London, Paris, and also 5 years here in Hong Kong. But my experience really started internationally as a professional. As I was graduating, I wanted to go abroad straight away. Couldn't think of any other way to do it. Joined the Peace Corps. And yes, that's a mud hut. I lived in a mud hut during my training. Worked for the Malian Chamber of Commerce in a little town called Mopti, where I helped organize accounting course, business with stock management, inventory control type of course, and a lot of great experiences there. You can see the Doumbia family. That was my host family during my training. But started very humble beginnings as a volunteer. When I came back to the States, and I think some of the other presenters also talked about this, in every career you pay your dues, and you got to learn your trade. For me, I started in the cubicle farm on the left side there as an accountant, working my way up as a financial analyst, financial planning manager, eventually getting into the ranks of a finance director, VP of finance, and eventually a CFO, and worked my way over to the right. So the message is, if you got these visions on what you want to do in your career, you're going to have to put in the work at some point. This is kind of fast forwarding a bit in getting into a little bit of a story. I think in international business, my experience has been team building is really important. And you can see on this picture on the left, this is actually pictures here in Hong Kong. We did a team building event at Crossroads International. It's a charitable organization here. And this was taken, I think, just after the earthquake in Chengdu province, back, I can't remember the year. But this is a team of my team across the region of Asia, China, South Africa, India, Korea, Singapore, folks here from Hong Kong, all represented there. I've always found one of the ways to build teams is to eat together. And spent a lot of time in as I've gone around the world in various groups, and always breaking bread together is a great way to build rapport, and always something I recommend. This story here was one that kind of really touched me. This is my current business. We have a joint venture partnership in India, 3 plants there. We've had this relationship for 30 years. Hasn't always been a good story. The business side of it, we tend to argue a bit about what to do with the venture and how to progress it. But it's maintained. And it didn't occur to me why it's maintained for such a long time until we took this trip last year to visit the plants. You can see on the right there's some young ladies, and I'm planting a tree here on the right side. As we were coming to the plant, our partner in business there is an older gentleman now, needed some help walking, and so he's kind of holding my arm, and we're kind of walking to the plant, and he's kind of sharing his life stories with me and talking about family and the importance of business and relationships and this kind of thing. And I was just kind of nodding along with him a bit. We get to the plant, and there had all these kids from age 5 to maybe 13, all dressed in very beautiful traditional attire, and they did this terrific dance for us. And sitting there enjoying the show, and he kind of leans over to me and he says, "Do you see all these kids?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Every single one of them is an orphan." And kind of blew me away. And then he leaned over a minute later and he said, "We support every single one of these kids, our company." And kind of hit me as social responsibility. You kind of read about sometimes in the back of annual reports, and this really just took it to another level. Tagline here, make a difference in the community you work and live in, or live and work in. Really important in the context of international business. Get engaged in those kind of endeavors. They are worth it. Just other corporate global CFO experiences I've had. It's sometimes easy to build a vision. You sit in a conference room, you talk about grandiose ideas. We're gonna conquer the world. We're gonna take on this front. We're gonna take some market share. The leadership aspect is actually executing it. So you can talk a good game, but the money's in actually execution. On the left there is Bangkok. About a year ago, we decided we're going to set up a distribution business there. Took a lot of work to get set up. We just celebrated our grand opening this last week, and I was here in Asia. And on the right here in Milan, Italy, we acquired a company back in 2016. Took almost a year to negotiate the deal with the Italian group that we bought it from. Leadership is around execution. You can always have good managers that kind of get you there, but the leadership aspect of getting you through all the hurdles that you encounter in business is really difficult at times. Just some takeaways here. I would some of the other presenters mentioned them as well. I would reiterate them. Find a mentor. In the experiences that I had in my career, having someone to guide me through all the cultural things that I had to learn was really important. And the last one under international business, I would say, invest in relationships. The relationships are so much important. Everything you're going to learn about the technical aspects of the job that you're going to take, you're going to learn in a few years once you get out of school, but the relationships are going to make the difference in your career. Thanks a lot.